Okay, welcome to the 98% podcast where we hear real stories from real people. And I'm here with Dennis and Craig. So, Dennis, Craig, tell us a little bit about yourselves.
Uh, well, first off, I'm a Christ follower. I'm Craig, by the way, just so you know who's who. But that's probably the biggest aspect of my life is the fact that I'm a Christ follower. So I start off with that. But uh, I live in Harrison, Arkansas. I work at Nighthawk Custom. We make high end pistols. I love it. It's the best place I've ever worked. I'm thrilled to be there, and I've known both of these guys for a long time, so it's good to reconnect.
Absolutely. And I'm Dennis. I live at Lake of the Ozarks. I've been here for about 8 years. I been in retail management a good chunk of my life. I'm recently switched a couple years ago to auto, home, and working on life insurance right now. I've got two daughters that are probably the biggest part of my life and get me through the day. And yeah, so that's a little bit about me.
Sweet. Okay, so how do you all know me?
Uh,
Dennis, take it.
Probably same way Craig does through Nike. I met you in 2010. Both worked at Nike. It was a part-time job for me at the time, and moved into management. And over the years in different locations, was able to rehook up with Ricky through trainings that he did, and our families have hung out a couple of times together. So yeah.
Yeah, and as well as working with both of these guys at Nike, me and Ricky did a little bit of music together, so we've got that history as well. So, but man, a lot of good memories from Nike. We had a good crew, and you know, met two great friends, and man, those were good times.
Absolutely.
I remember. Okay, so I know Dennis, I've talked to recently. Craig, it's funny, I haven't, man, and like, I saw you in person, I think like 2 years ago, maybe, or
Yeah,
something like that, just randomly at the store. But
yeah.
other than that, I haven't seen you for a while. So what I think would be really fun is just to kind of go through some of those old stories. Cause, dude, we had a lot of funny ones. Dude, we goofed around so much.
Yeah,
so,
we did
so,
way too much.
too much. So if I go back, so some of my stories, I think there's a few that I really enjoyed. One of them was we used to do this parking thing. I don't know if you all remember, but we used to park right next to each other so where we couldn't get out of the cars. I remember, I remember, what did we do? We did it, I think we did it to Dennis once, and we parked so close to where he couldn't get in his car. And then one day, me and Dennis were like, hey, we need to get Craig good. So we parked, I think we had like three of our cars within two parking spots, and we parked on each side so we couldn't get in. And funny thing is we're like, me and Dennis were just like, oh, I can't wait for him to come in and tell us. And he never came in the store. And we're like, what happened? So the next day, you show up to work, and we're just like, so how'd you get in your car? They're like, oh, I just popped the back and I just crawled on through. And we're just like, dude, I just lost it.
I
Yeah,
vaguely remember that. You got a better memory than I do, but yeah, sounds like something we'd do.
yeah. I remember a lot of punching boxes and
Oh gosh.
flying knee boxes and uh,
Mm.
punching sandwiches. We did a lot of just really weird stuff that
Yeah.
wasn't professional at all.
Dude, we need to go into some of those details, dude. I remember you. So just to clarify, everybody. So yeah, the sandwich punching game. We decided one day it'd be fun because we were like, we gotta have fun at work, right? So we had everybody sign up for this sandwich punching game, and if you signed up, your sandwich was able to be punched. But the rules were is if you had a shield on it, which was anything that wasn't the sandwich or the hamburger, it was a shield, so we couldn't punch it. It was off limits. But the minute it was uncovered, we could punch it. And for some reason, we thought it was awesome. So we all came up with these sandwich names. I remember mine was Clubber Lane because I thought that was awesome. And dude, I just remember so I didn't punch anybody's sandwiches because I felt guilty, but I didn't have my sandwich punched ever. And dude, I remember one time, Craig, I remember it was you and Alejandro, if I recall. And his sandwich was just open and you just punched it. And he was like, dude, what happened? I had the box closed. You're like, well, it wasn't closed when I walked by it. And I just remember you being at the sink pulling
Yeah, that ring.
bread out of your ring.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
Dude.
The sandwich. I've thought about that at several other jobs. Like, man, should I bring up the sandwich punching game and see if we can get that going here? That was really funny, and we had a lot of people in on it too. But again, probably not the most professional thing, but we had fun. And then the punching boxes deal for anybody that's like punching boxes, like all the t-shirts and hoodies and all that kind of stuff came in these big boxes, and they would just be stacked up in aisleways, and we'd just sit there and see like how clean we could punch through the box, or how deep we could go, or could we punch through the box and pull a shirt out all in one motion. And it's just a bunch of really dumb stuff.
I'm grateful that whenever this all was introduced, I was in management. So I was never a part of this.
Dennis didn't know about it because we kept it secret.
Yeah.
Dude.
Yeah.
Not a great secret, because all the boxes had holes punched in them.
That's true.
Dude, well, that was my bad. So what happened is I would punch the holes in the boxes and then process those boxes. Little did I know, everybody would just start walking to the stock room, just punching boxes and leaving them. And I remember Brad being super ticked one day. Like, I came in and just because people were punching like the middle boxes, so all the boxes were collapsing up top of it. And he was just so upset. And I was like, dude, I'm sorry, man.
Yeah. I remember we were setting boxes out like on an edge to where part of it was overhanging, and we were trying flying knees on it, and I went for my flying knee on a box.
Yes.
And my foot caught on a box, and I just went flat on my back.
Dude, you fell hard. Didn't your shoes pop off too?
Might have.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, that was a rough landing.
Oh, dude, I just remember watching that because, like, yeah, like I was leaping and all that stuff. We're like, yeah, your turn, Craig, and yeah, you totally did it. And dude, you just ate it hard. I just remember you flopping and just like, and I'm pretty sure shoes just popped off and everything. We're just like, whoa, is Craig okay?
Yeah, that was good.
That's funny.
Oh, dude, yeah, we had good times. And then we used to do short Sundays. I remember that.
I want to say you were
a big thing for me.
I thought you were probably the only one that did short Sundays.
Yes, I'm pretty sure it was just Ricky.
I talked Craig. I talked you into it once. You remember that?
I might have done it once.
If I remember it once, I remember because it was awkward because you were wearing it, and I just remember you'd come out of the stock room and you'd just be pulling at him, like trying to pull him down as low as they could go. I remember you did it once.
Yeah.
Talked you into it. Which speaking of which, so it looks like I'm dressed up all nice, but I'm actually rocking the good old shorts.
Nice.
Today, because I thought it would be wonderful for our session. So
yeah.
Perfect.
Fitting.
It is very fitting.
For this reunion.
Exactly.
Very.
Okay. So, anybody else? Any other stories y'all remember? I forgot that Dennis was like in management, so he missed out on some of the fun games.
Yeah. I think I wanted to maybe join a couple, but I knew I had a line that I didn't need to cross. So.
Yeah, business Dennis.
Yeah,
absolutely. Good times.
Sweet. Okay. So how this works, I gave you the list of questions and you all were able to study up on it. And what we're going to do is just go through the questions and just answer as deep as you want to. And the goal is just for the audience to connect with you all in your stories. So first question is, what was it like growing up for you?
So I can go. So I'd say about as typical or cliche as most people. Grew up in a really good Christian home. My parents took good care of me. Supported me in sports. I played baseball in elementary school and basketball through high school, and was really supported in that way. And through college. Even today, my parents are, still great supporters of different hurdles that I've went through in life. So, I think family's been a big part of my life something that I've wanted to instill into my daughters. Just how much that at the end of the day, your family's always going to be there. So, but to go back a little bit, just grew up in a small farming community. Graduated with a really small class of 36 people. So, from elementary through high school, just about everyone knew everybody on campus. We were a really small, tight knit community. But yeah, that was kind of my upbringing. We were in church every Sunday morning, every Sunday night, every Wednesday. I'm sure similar maybe to you guys or just about anybody in Christian world grew up that you were in church about as much as you were anywhere else. So yeah, that's a little bit of my upbringing.
So how about when you got a little bit older, Dennis? So like, what was high school like? Did you do sports? Were you in anything like that?
Yeah. So in high school, again, really small school. I was very fortunate. I'm not gifted with a lot of great athletic skills, but going to a small school lends itself to not having tryouts. So I was fortunate to play basketball all the way through high school, and connected a lot with friends through that. Pep rallies, things like that. Always enjoyed, um, but it was something that I took it serious. I think as I needed to, because I pretty much understood that after high school, that's my sports history. I'm pretty much done there. So yeah, so through high school, um, I was very simple. Went to school, had basketball practice, and worked when I didn't go to basketball. So it was a pretty, I'd say, mundane. Just went through high school, but still enjoyed, weekends with my friends and things like that. So yeah, not anything too exciting or glamorous in high school.
Yeah. Well, there's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. You
Yeah,
got to play some sports, got to be active, and yeah, you had a supportive family growing up, which is pretty awesome.
yeah, absolutely.
So, yeah. So, Craig, what about you?
Kind of the same story. I grew up in a Christian home. My dad, when I was 12, became a pastor. So a lot of my upbringing, was church related. I was in church. All my friends went to church, and I played a lot of sports, played a lot of video games growing up. That was a big part of my life. Uh, got into high school and continued playing baseball. That was kind of my sport of choice, the one that out of all of them that I was not the, worst player out there. Basketball and football, I just wasn't cut out for. So baseball, I could kind of hang a little bit. I still wasn't any good, but played that through high school. And man, I look back on those days, especially like junior high and high school, and I was just really immature. And I apologize to my parents all the time. Like, man, you guys put up with so much. You know, a lot of people would just like give up on somebody that just can't figure it out. It took me a while to figure it out, but it was a great childhood. Like I never, was in need for anything. My parents took care of me and provided not only what I needed, but a lot of what I wanted. They sacrificed a lot so that me and my sister could have the stuff that they didn't have when they were growing up. So uh, I had an awesome upbringing, and I have my parents to thank for that.
It's awesome. It's funny though. So, you don't care to elaborate on any of those immature things, do you?
Oh, I just really dumb stuff. Like I got into wrestling in junior high, as most boys do. The NWO was like the blowing going thing, and so one of my buddies had a trampoline, and we would
Uh-huh.
just go over there and we would just do like wrestling stuff. I was a little bit bigger than him, so I I was probably a jerk a lot of times, uh, but just doing really dumb stuff. I won't get into some of the worst stuff, because it's just dumb. Like I was thinking about it today. Like I mean, I would, I was I'll say this. This is, I think, a funny story. I was a huge Baywatch fan, and I was a big Pamela Anderson fan, and so I had this big wall in my room that was covered in like cork board, so you could hang posters and stuff. And I etched Pam into that. And to this day, like my parents sold that house, but to this day, it still says Pam on that wall.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and just stupid thing to do, but when you're a 13-year-old boy and you got a crush on somebody, like you do dumb stuff. So I don't know. Just that's a light one. There were a lot of really dumb decisions made.
Dude, I was gonna say that seems pretty light.
I don't know. This is how incriminating this is, but I had a Jeep Wrangler, and in the front of this Jeep Wrangler had a big, like, iron bar running across it. And so, me and one of my buddies and my cousin one day, we were out driving around at night, and it was election season. So there's like election signs in yards. And I was just like, hey, check this out. And I just drove up into their yard and started mowing down all these election signs, like all over town. And it's like, man, you can get in a lot of trouble for that. So just bad decisions.
Oh
Dude,
wow.
I love it. So yeah, that's that's a good one. I can't say I've ever done that, but yeah, dude,
Most people are a little bit more mature and intelligent to not do something like that. So
yeah. I mean, the thing is, though, I mean, I did dumb stuff too. I mean, I was wrestling with everybody 24/7. I mean, we even talked about the Nike stories. I mean, that was pretty immature.
yeah,
I was just having fun. I was like, man, I can't be bored at work. Let's have some fun. And it's
yeah,
funny telling people about those stories now because I feel like I'm in a different place. But it's like, I learned how to channel my fun. But back in the
yeah,
day,
yeah.
just had to have fun.
I was immature well into my 30s. Like I was all about, being goofy and doing all that kind of stuff. And it kind of changed when I started teaching. I kind of settled down, and then uh, I live a pretty reserved life nowadays.
I can imagine. Yeah. Okay. Sweet. So we talked about growing up. So now this is one of my questions that I absolutely love to share on this podcast, just because everybody's answers are so interesting to me. But this question is, what's the biggest struggle that you've made it through?
Man, biggest struggle. So I recently, well, over the last couple of years, went through a divorce, and learning just how much independence that I wasn't ready for. And I'm talking from having to learn to cook, you know, be the when I have my girls, being the one that's getting them to school and figuring out how to get them home. And if I'm not able to, um, I'd say that's one of the biggest things. It really goes back to just having a family that was there and supported me, and they've been a biggest reason why I am where I am today. I've went through a lot of growing through anxieties that I had maybe before the divorce started, and anxieties that were born through that. Compulsive things of having my own place now and having things a certain way, and having to know that there's going to be a day when I, Lord willing, that I have another mate, and she may have some things that I need to work through, uh because I've learned to live independent for maybe so long. So just a lot of things that I'm trying to prepare myself for, and a lot of things that I've learned through this stage of my life. uh it's easy to say on this part of it that I would probably, um I don't know, I don't think I would change anything in my life, because there's a reason. As as low as I've felt through that, as as alone as I've felt certain days, and crying out to my family, there's a reason, and I've grown so much through that. Um, you know, and maybe that's easy right now. If I had a a genie in front of me and he said, I'll grant you whatever wish, maybe I would say, let's go back and let's try some things. But I got two beautiful daughters out of it, so that's probably the reason why I'd say if I had to do anything different, I probably wouldn't. So
Yeah, and just want to create. It's crazy, Dennis. So like, obviously, I resonate a lot with that. So I mean, I ended up getting divorced right before you, you know.
yeah.
But you're right though. So there's something about that. There's something about going through that struggle. I think that's very rewarding on the other side. And it sounds terrible to say that, but
Yeah.
like the resiliency that you get, the strength. Like if I think about, if I put myself like the person I was before and the person I am now, I wouldn't trade that at all. Like I feel like
Hmm.
there's like the Ricky here after is way up here compared to where I was. But right, there was a lot of pain born through that time. And for me, it wasn't the independence I think that I struggled with. Mine was more of the like companionship and kind of the loneliness, I think, is what I stemmed
Hmm.
from the most, because I handled a lot of stuff when, when I was married and stuff. So I didn't, like, independence was fine, and I was kind of used to that to a certain extent. But yeah, just like the being around the house by myself and like, what do I do now? And just trying to figure out what to do. And it was, dude, it was a challenge. It was painful. I mean, it's painful. It's one of those things that, in my opinion, I think heartbreak's one of the worst things you can have, especially when you've been, with that person for so long. So, yeah, I remember talking on the phone and, first hearing about it. And I was just like, I was distraught because it's unfortunate, man. But to your point, there's good and there's stuff that comes from it. So, and I think about my relationship with Rachel. My relationship with Rachel is better than it's ever been, my
Hmm.
daughter. So, yeah, so I get that.
Yeah. My daughters are 13 and 8, and just the relationships that I've been able to, or how much stronger that they've become. And even with my teenager, she's in a very formidable year these next couple of years, as she's transitioning from being a child to a tween to now a teenager, and she's going to be having some independence that she's going to learn in the next couple of years as she becomes a driver and goes off to college possibly. And so, there's been a lot of really cool nights of her coming to me and sharing different things that she's going through with friends at school, or sports, or school homework, or whatever, that maybe she wouldn't have done if she's at home with her mom. Girls kind of tend to gravitate to their moms, and so those nights when it's just me with her, and so those times right there, I'll never take for granted, and what they've done to improve my relationship with her, and it's improved my outlook on things that I need to be aware of on others. So I think there's a lot of growth that I've had, and things that I'm gonna continue to grow through, just through that relationship with a 13-year old. I never thought would help make me a better person.
Yeah, and I respect that too, because uh, father, like the relationship between a father and a daughter is just different,
Mm.
right? So what's cool is you're setting the precedence for, the person that she would potentially look for in the future, right? She's going to look for someone who, who treated them like their dad. And you've been such a, sounds like an upstanding father figure, and it's
Oh
been
man,
awesome.
yeah, appreciate it.
Yeah. What about you, Craig?
Uh, for
You
me,
get you get divorced, Craig?
no, no, I
Oh
haven't
my
haven't
gosh,
gotten married yet. That's step number one. Uh,
Okay, fair.
but
good for you, Craig. Good for you.
yeah, for me,
Uh,
it's my battles with anxiety and depression, which started in December of 2006 and ran all the way through like 2019. So, working with you guys right at Nike was right in the middle of that. But, man, anxiety and depression is rough. And I don't know what brought mine on, what caused it. It was kind of an out of the blue thing, but it rocked my world, and it was tough to get through it because you feel you feel like you're losing your life. Like the person that I've been for all these years is just going to disappear, and I'm going to be some shell of who I was. And you feel like you're losing control. And so it was tough. I had a lot of really rough days and nights going through anxiety and depression. And for whatever reason, around 2019, uh, I don't know what changed. Like I go see a doctor regularly still to this day. I take medication, and I don't know if that is what did it. I got myself a little beagle that he's my buddy, he's my pal, he keeps me company, and I don't know if having him around made a difference or if God just decided, all right, I'm going to take this from you now. Uh, Around 2019, it was just it's gone. Yeah, I don't deal with it anymore, and I'm extremely thankful for that because it was really tough, especially anxiety like morphs over time. Like it starts out like, oh no, I've got cancer, or I've got a tumor, or I've got heart failure or something. You're coming up with all these crazy things of like there's something wrong with me, and then it changes into like you know ultimately for me it was is this going to cause me to become suicidal? Is that where this is going? Is it leading to that path? And I got really scared at the end that that's what's around the corner. Is the next thing waiting for me is the day I say nope, I can't do this anymore. So uh I think God intervened at the right time. I don't know necessarily why I went through that, but kind of like with y'all struggles, when you go through something like that, you come out stronger. Like you're a different person on the other side of this. And when you're in the middle of the struggle, it doesn't make sense. But then you come through on the other side and you're like, man, I grew so much. I depended on God so much more than I ever have in my life. That's a blessing. And man, it stinks that a lot of times we have to go through really difficult times to develop and grow, but God uses those for our good ultimately. And I believe that's what he did with my anxiety and depression and those battles.
Yeah, it's what's interesting about that too is like I've had quite a few people on here too that have had experiences with depression and things of that nature, and they all kind of say the same thing. They kind of say like it's almost like a like a looming cloud over you. Like it's something that's just happening all the time, and you can't really do anything about it. But it's but yeah, to your point, you talked about how it just would trigger these thoughts about like what's wrong with me, et cetera. And it's just wild, and I think more people struggle with that than I think we know. And I think it's
Oh,
it's
way
it's great.
more.
Yeah, exactly. And it's great that you're sharing this because the thing is, too, is I think you're a good example of this. Is you never know. I would have never guessed if you didn't tell me right now that you struggle with anxiety and depression. When I knew you, I would have never guessed that that would have been you.
And I always wondered, especially when we were preparing for this podcast and I saw this question about what I struggled with and it was like, man, it's pretty obvious for me it was anxiety and depression. I was like, man, I don't know how much these guys actually saw it because when I was at work and I was busy and
Hmm.
we were having fun, usually it didn't affect me. A lot of times it affected me when I had downtime, when you're just sitting there with just you and your own thoughts. And
Yeah.
that's when just these, off the wall, man, there must be something wrong. I have a brain tumor or something. You just think all these weird things. I remember really early on, I had a night where I just kept having these thoughts that if I close my eyes to go to sleep, what happens if when I open my eyes again, I can't see? And so, like, I spent hours just constantly, like, opening my eyes back up to see that I could still see. It's like, man, that's nuts. That's crazy stuff. But that's the just out there ridiculous fear that anxiety can put in your mind and there's no controlling it. There's no shutting it off. I know my dad in the early beginnings was just like, you just gotta, think different thoughts and change your way of thinking. It was like it's not that easy. That's not how it works.
Mm.
Like whether there's a chemical imbalance going on, something is causing this and it's out of my control. And it took a long time to get the hang of that, but for whatever reason, it's gone now. So
Yeah. It's hard. It's funny. It's hard when you're not in a place like that to be able to relate with that. To your point,
oh
like
yeah,
people will always be like, "Yeah, just change the way you think." But it's like actually, this is kind of more like a nervous system thing. So this kind of comes before your thoughts. So I don't really know what I'm
yeah,
exactly supposed to do about it, right? And it's interesting because the people we've had on here that have talked about it, there's always been some event that they ended up figuring out, and it's really interesting that you said that like no reason at all. It just happened. So
yeah.
it's wild.
Just happened on Christmas night of December 2006. I just had an anxiety attack. Didn't know what was happening. I just knew something was wrong. And then it just kept happening and kept happening and kept happening. And there is no event. Like my mom, I love her. She when this all started happening, she felt guilty because she thought this all stemmed back to when I was like 4 years old. We were at Silver Dollar City and they forced me to go on the log flume. And I was like kicking and screaming and did not want to go. And she was like, we scarred him. We did this to him. And it's like,
Uh,
no, it wasn't the log flume that brought this on. But yeah, I don't know what caused it. I've always been a really easygoing, carefree guy. Like, don't let stuff get to me. So it was really odd and out of person for me to all of a sudden have worries and all this anxiety that was just taking over my life because it's never been who I was.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. Those were the vibes that you gave off. Like, honestly, when I was with you during the time of anxiety and depression, that's what I thought. I was like, oh, he's an easygoing, chill guy. And we played music too. So that's a pretty anxiety inducing thing for most people. So another reason why I would have never guessed because, we played music together.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a mystery. You know, one of these days, I can't wait to be face to face with Christ and to be able to talk with Him and say, you know, like, show me, you know, all the times that you stepped in and intervened in my life and what you were doing and how you were working, and to be able to see, like, on the eternal side of things, why I went through this. Because there's a reason. I I believe that there is a spiritual reason why God maybe not caused it to happen, but allowed it to happen. Uh, and I I look forward to one day seeing why it happened and how it was used for His glory and His honor. Because ultimately, I think everything that happens in our life is ultimately to give glory and honor to Him, and it's our response to what's going on around us that hopefully brings glory and honor to Him. So that's something I look forward to, is finding out, you know, what did you do? What work did you accomplish by, you know, my struggles with anxiety? And I think it'll be eye opening to see, and maybe a handful of lives were changed because I went through the same thing that they went through, and I could relate to them, and I could be there for them. So we'll see. It'll be interesting.
Yeah, it's interesting that you say that too. Two things. So one, that's how I felt about going through the divorce is I got a new level of empathy that I never had before. Like for me, like before that, I was probably more like that. Like, why don't you just think differently or just be positive? Because that was my life. I didn't understand. So going through something like that, it's like it gave me a whole new understanding and it helped me connect with people much better, like in a way that was never possible before because I just didn't know. Like I didn't go through anything that hard before, and just going through that was like so devastating. It was like, okay, I get it, I understand, and it's been wild. So for you to say that was interesting. And then the other thing, which is just wild. So what's really crazy is 2019 is when you said it ended for
Yeah,
you. What's wild is that was when pandemic happened and everybody is in anxiety. You're just like, dude, I feel great now.
yeah, exactly. It was weird. You know, I I was good in 2019, and then in 2020 when COVID happened, I was like, this is the perfect storm for all of it to come back, and it just never did.
That's wild.
Yeah,
I got a question for you, Craig.
yeah.
Do you ride the log flume?
I haven't been on the log flume in a long time. I'm not afraid of it, like
Okay.
I was as a little 4 year old, but
Yeah.
uh, I haven't been on the log flume in some years. But
Yeah.
my mom, I'm sure to this day, she still thinks that scarred me. So
That's
It was
funny.
the log flume.
yeah,
Thanks, parents.
yeah, no doubt.
Uh, okay. So next question. So, what's something you're currently going through that's either positive or we could say negative?
Um, Positive or negative? Man, I would say right now has been a really first off, I appreciate this night to break from studying. I've been studying for a life insurance exam that I'm taking next week. I've been studying every night for the last 2 weeks. As soon as I get home until I go to bed. So I appreciate the break that I'm getting from it tonight. But I'd say that is one thing. I don't know if it's a positive or a negative, but going through this, and at my age, I'm almost 40, and I haven't had to, to like uh, a great extent, I feel like use my brain since I was, left college, what, 16, 17 years ago. And so to have to put a new, well, for me now for so long, but like a newer skill in place or something that I have not had to do for so long, and learn how to retain information. Um, that has been, for one, it's been very humbling because I thought, I went through high school, went through college, I've been an adult plenty of my life now. I'll just get in there and study real quick and I'll be just fine. And then when I start cracking it open and I've got 30 chapters I got to read and retain for I don't know, like a 3 hour test. It's really, it's challenged me. And so I'd say that's probably the biggest thing that I'm going through right now is, trying to retrain my brain to do something it hadn't had to do in a long time.
Dude, that's keeping you young and healthy, though.
Man, I don't know. I might have some of the anxiety that Craig left in 5 years ago. I might be picking that up now. Oh man, yeah. I I I was joking with somebody about this at work earlier today, but I have studied consistently an hour or two a night for the last couple of weeks. That I'm dreaming that I'm studying. So I wake up in the middle of the night and I feel like I'm dreaming. So it sounds like anxiety to me. So
That's rough.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
Reminds me of having Nike dreams. I used to have Nike dreams all the time when I didn't necessarily enjoy working there. There was a certain point where I was like, I don't like it. I would dream and I'd be like, I'd have this like conversation, be like, man, I'm just upset, or I just have this, and I'd wake up and be like, dude, that wasn't even work. Now I gotta go to work. Dang
Yeah,
it.
oh, it's
I
funny.
dream about being back at Nike all the time. It's weird. I don't dream about any other job, but I dream about going back to Nike and walking in there and selling shoes and all this kind of stuff. I don't know why, but Nike stuck with me. I dream about it a lot.
Was it Craig? Was it
Oh,
you that? So you bought shoes pretty often. I mean, I
Oh
think we
yeah,
all probably did, but I feel like Craig bought pretty often. I feel like I remember this like special 2 pack set had two, like a special box that like the drawers pulled out.
yeah. It
Uh,
was the Jordan 2011 Year of the Dragons.
that's the ones, a Year of the Dragon. Anyway, yeah,
Yeah,
I just imagine you waking up in the middle of the night, like trying to try shoes on or something, in your dreams.
I still have like every pair of shoes that I bought. I still got them
Oh,
all.
that's crazy. That's
Yeah,
crazy. I've gotten rid of a lot of mine.
I need to.
Yeah.
Just from a financial standpoint, I could sell those shoes and do something productive with them rather than them just sitting in a box somewhere.
Yeah.
dude, one of my least favorite things is, I don't know. I didn't like the music at Nike. Some people did. used to drive me bonkers.
Except during
But
Christmas.
except
Exactly.
there,
That's what I was going to
yes,
say.
I knew that's like,
That's
dude. I
funny.
saw Dennis's face when I said this. I knew exactly what that was mine. Okay, but besides that time, I used to hate it. I would wake up every morning humming some Nike tune in my head and just being like, "Oh gosh, this is how today's going to start." And then
It was
I
like
taught myself how to block out music.
Party in the
So,
USA by Miley Cyrus or something like
dude,
that.
exactly. And I'd just be like, "Why?
Mhm.
But yeah, it was Snow Miser.
Oh,
That
yeah.
was
That's
the
it.
one.
Yep.
You all used to love that one.
Yep.
Mm,
Yep.
I get down on that.
Good
Yeah.
stuff. That's funny.
Okay. So, what about you, Craig?
Something positive. I've really got two things. One is that right now, my church is without a youth minister, so I am serving as the interim youth minister, and I've been doing this for over a year now. So we're pretty deep into it, but it's good for me because it keeps me studying and engaged in the Word, and I need that because, in all honesty, like going back to the anxiety stuff, like when I was going through anxiety, I was so dependent on God that I was spending more time in prayer. I was spending more time in the Word. And then when things get easy and it's kind of like, hey, I've got a handle on everything again, you fall back out of that and you don't spend time in the Word. So it's been really good for me to force me to spend more time studying and being in God's Word. So that's one of the positives. The other is that uh, coming up on 4 years ago, I became an uncle. Uh, again, marriage just hasn't happened for me, so I haven't gotten to start a family of my own. But man, it is incredible to get to be an uncle, even, and have this little 3 year old. Her name is Faith. As a part of my life, and man, it changed our whole family when she showed up. Like, I've been the baby of our family like my entire existence, and that's out the window. Everything is about Faith, but rightfully so. She's amazing. So that's been a really positive change in my life here recently.
That's awesome. It's funny how family members do that. Yeah, it doesn't have to be kids, right? It can be, nephew, niece, whatever.
Mm.
And it's funny because they change our lives too without even doing anything. And sometimes they're our biggest teacher. That's what I noticed about, having a daughter is I always tell people too, like, hey, if you want to learn a little bit more self-awareness, have a child. You'll
Yeah.
learn a whole lot about yourself. Okay. So next question. So who is someone that has changed your life that doesn't know it?
Um, man, he doesn't know it. I've tried to think, and I feel like I've been pretty good about uh, letting people know, what impact they've had on me. Because I know for myself, managing in retail, people coming up to me and sharing with me, something small that maybe I did that I didn't realize, and how good that felt to me. So I think I've always been pretty good about letting people know. Now, someone that does know, I feel like I tell them pretty often is my dad has made a pretty big impact on me. Just a very very kind, gentle, very empathetic person. Uh, I didn't talk a lot about it, but similar to Craig, I mean, I was a normal kid that got into, you know, different things and uh, jumped around the house and was a pain to my younger sister and probably almost killed her a few times. And so just the way that my dad would interact with that and be honest and open. And, I've seen my dad show his emotions a handful of times. That's something big that I picked up on as a kid. Was my dad was not afraid to talk about his shortcomings, things that maybe he struggled with in life. One situation that really stands out in my mind is, as probably 7 or 8 years old, having a conversation with my dad as we were going to bed at night and doing like our nightly prayers and just some things I was struggling with at school, nervous to go to school. I had some separation anxieties and my Dad kind of shared some things that he dealt with when he was a kid, and saw him cry and shed a tear. And a lot of guys were taught, don't do that, don't cry, don't don't show your emotions, hold it in, be tough. um, you know a- at the very end of the day, don't let anyone see you cry. And so me being able to see that helped, I think, show me that it's okay to show those things. And those are things that now, again, with my daughters, they don't know all the crazy things and struggles and things that I've went through with my divorce and trying to figure out a new way of life and a new chapter. But they've seen me be aware of how my emotions are on my sleeve, and they've came up to me and said, "Hey, Dad, how are you doing?" And I've not shied away from telling them, "Hey, I'm having a rough day. I'm feeling my emotions, or I'm having a rough day." And instead of just saying, and I think there's a part of both sides of saying like, "Hey, I'm good. I got to be, you got to be strong." And there are those times of being strong for your kids or whoever, but also being able to show that I'm human, so that as they become older, they make mistakes. They're going to know that, hey, my dad's probably went through something similar. I can share with him, and he can probably share a similar story. So I'd say, all to wrap that back up, my dad and just his kindness and empathy that he showed me, and not being afraid to show his emotions is probably one of the biggest things that I'd take away from the relationship that I have with him and what he's taught me.
Yeah, I like that. That's and I mean, you hit the nail on the head about that. Like, there is a societal element to that, right? That, I mean, it's becoming more and more, I think, acceptable, right,
Yeah,
for that. But yeah, I mean, the cool thing is since you're a dad, right, you're role modeling to the kids essentially how to handle their emotions too, right? Because they pay attention to actions, right? Not necessarily what we say. So they get to see like, hey, like, he was struggling and he told me about it, right? Maybe, you didn't necessarily react in a terrible way, because that's what happens sometimes, right? When we say,
mm,
I'm not going to show my emotions. What happens? We bottle them up, and then before you know it, we wait till it becomes too much, and then we do something we regret.
mm,
And I think that's a big thing, is being able to be aware of it enough in the moment to be like, I'm not really having a good day. I just wanted to let you know that. And being able to do that, I think that speaks volumes, because you're accepting how you feel in the moment, which is important, but you're also demonstrating to them that like, hey, it's okay to feel that way. Right. So that's,
absolutely,
that's actually really cool. Yeah.
absolutely.
Okay. What about you, Craig?
Um, Kind of a lot like Dennis. I've tried to make a point to tell people that have had an impact on my life, like, hey, you've been an influence on me. Obviously, my parents, my sister, my grandparents, my aunts and uncles, cousins, have all had a big impact. My family is a big deal, and we're all very close. Uh, but one that kind of stands out is my baseball coach from high school, Coach Bach. Uh, he instilled a lot of life lessons that I didn't understand and I didn't get at the time when I was 17, 18 years old. But as you go on through life, it's like, man, this is what he was talking about. This is the kind of hardships and difficulties that you have to sometimes, just be tough and work through, because life's not easy. But uh, he's been one. But I've told him, this is kind of a funny story, but this is what came to mind when this question came up. Somebody that impacted me, and they have no idea that it happened. His name is Landis Williams. Uh, Landis Williams was a basketball player for the Arkansas Razorbacks. And when I was 13 years old, I went to a Razorback basketball camp, and I'm terrible at basketball. Layups are my weakness. I just can't make a layup. And we were in a drill working on layups, and I missed like three in a row. And I was frustrated and feeling down on myself because I'm embarrassing myself in front of Arkansas Razorback basketball players. And I got my turn again, missed another layup. And I go, man, I suck. And I went off to the back of the line, didn't think anything of it. And then the next time I come up, I miss a fifth layup in a row. And this time, Landis Williams, who's standing right there, looked at me and he goes, "Man, you do suck." And that changed my life. I knew that I was not going to be in the NBA, that was not where I was headed. It crushed me.
Oh
It,
gosh.
as a 13-year-old boy, it crushed my world to have an Arkansas Razorback tell me that I suck at basketball. But Landis Williams, if you're watching, yeah, that's how you changed my life. So
Oh, that is
Dude,
completely opposite of what I was expecting.
that's what I said too. That story went way, way, way far left field. I literally thought he was going to say like, and he said, keep it up. Like I thought he was going to say, so he
nope,
just leaned into it.
just
You
told me I
suck.
suck. I need to give up on basketball.
That is awesome.
Dude. Hey, it's funny though, because that's a true thing though. I always say that is that it's not always the people that did good things for you that change your life. Sometimes it's the opposite. I've had plenty of people in my life that have changed my life because it taught me how to not do something, or and it was like that, which is interesting. But this is and I respect this about both of you guys. Like, it's cool that as you kind of navigated this and people changed your life, that you told them. I think that's interesting. So for some reason, I was never like that. It wasn't until the last few years where I actually started making sure that everybody knows, like, when they've changed my life, or I share my appreciation at least, because that's just something that never came to my mind at all growing up. I just never even thought about it. Like, people do great things, but I just never really thought about saying anything about it. And or if I did, I don't remember. But I think it's an important thing, because it's really helpful sometimes to know that you've impacted somebody in a positive way, and not just to pat yourself on the back, but I just think it's important to share that. So I love that you guys did that.
No, definitely. And, you know, working right now with youth ministry, like, you don't always see results right away. Like, you want to see results. You want to see kids start to change and develop and grow. But sometimes it takes 5 or 10 years. And you could think, man, I did nothing. I didn't change anybody's life. I didn't have an impact on anybody. But if 10, 15 years, some kid comes back and says, man, something you said really made a difference for me. It took a little while for it to set in, but thank you, man. It completely changes your outlook on what you've done. And you can do that for somebody else. You can be that encouragement to somebody else to say, man, you had an impact on me. So it is a big deal to tell people uh, that have impacted you in a positive way, like, hey, thank you for, your service in church or in school or whatever it was, because it made an impact on my life.
Exactly. Okay, so next question. So what's a skill or talent you could share with us?
You got anything, Craig?
Man, when I read this question, I was like, I don't have any skills or talents. Like, I have none. If I had a Bop It Extreme, I would show you that, because that's the one thing I'll ever claim to be good at. I beat Bop It Extreme. Like, I broke its will. I made it give up. That's the only thing that I'll ever claim. Like, I'm pretty good at Bop It Extreme, but I don't have one, so I
Oh,
can't show
that's
you.
hilarious. Oh, that's hilarious. I'm sure you're probably similar to me, that there's some series or movie that you can probably quote way too much.
Yeah, probably.
What would yours
Uh,
be?
I don't know. Probably uh, the movie Dirty Work. If anybody's familiar with it, it's a Norm Macdonald movie. I
Mm-mm.
love it, and I think about that movie all the time. I quote stuff, even in my own head. Like, stuff will just pop up, and it'll make me laugh. So I'm I'm glad that I can amuse myself from time to time. But that movie I quote a lot.
I've never watched it.
I've never even heard of it. So if you said a quote and you said that was from that movie, we'd probably be like, okay, have no idea.
No,
My heard
you
of
would
it.
have no idea. You would
Yeah.
have no idea.
He's already dropped 15 of them.
We
Yeah.
probably has, and we have no idea.
My the one I use the most is probably uh, it's a scene where Norm Macdonald's character, him and his buddy, go to prison, and they're like, you know what happens in prison? And his buddy's like, no, and so he has to spell out, like, this is what they do in prison. And then Norm Macdonald gets hauled off to the back to get worked over. And he comes back out and he's like, "You've got a lot of growing up to do. That's ridiculous. The thing that hurt the worst is the lack of respect. The lack of respect. That's what hurt the worst." And then he goes, "No, actually, the other thing hurt the worst, but the lack of respect hurt the second worst." I think about that all the time. Like that, for some reason, is just so hilarious to me.
It's funny. I don't know why that triggered something in me, but that reminded me of you used to show me just random funny video clips all the time. Do you remember that?
What would I have shown you? I don't know.
You showed me the grapist, which is what you just reminded me of. And I was like, dude, you used to show me stuff like that all the time.
The Grapist is classic.
It was all on the Nike work computer too. You're just like, hey, let me pull this up for you.
Yeah, the Grapist. Yeah, that's
Oh my gosh.
again just immaturity. That's all that was.
What is it? There was that. There was what is it? The honey badger one that was really
Oh my
popular at the
Yeah,
gosh.
time.
yeah.
Oh, what else, dude? You just always had something. It was hilarious. You always be. Have you seen this? No.
We're
Here, let me pull it up real quick.
I feel like we all worked together when Epic Mealtime was really big. You remember Epic Mealtime? It was a group of guys that made as
Mm,
much. Every meal had bacon wrapped something, and
Mm, I remember.
you remember that?
mm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Anyways,
There was that. There was oh, there's something else. I don't remember. My mind was going in all different directions after that that
Wow.
statement. That was funny. But oh yeah, we used to. So the thing is too is I also noticed because I worked at Nike for so long. It's funny how there's like little age gaps in comedy too. Because I remember with us, and I remember like I would quote Chris Farley all the time. Like we just those movies were classic. And I just remember the older I got, the less everybody understood, and the more I'm just laughing at myself. And I'm like,
Yep.
these kids just don't know. So good.
Yep. I encourage you both to watch Dirty Work.
Okay.
put that on
Okay.
my list.
Me too. Okay, so next question. So what are you learning about currently that you'd like to teach us?
Go ahead, Craig.
Gosh, me, I think it's patience is what I'm learning, and it's through working with the youth at my church. Again, going back to, you don't always see growth right away. You don't see a change happening and like, oh, there it is. So and so's getting it. Don't get frustrated. Don't give up. Don't think I'm not having an effect on these kids or this isn't working or whatever it is. Just be patient because,
Mhm.
especially in my situation, dealing with kids at youth and teaching them about Christ, it's not my job to change them. It's not my job to say something that is going to completely change the trajectory of their life. I'm just planting seeds. And then Christ is the one that's going to bring the change. And he's going to be the one that uses those seeds that I planted to do something amazing in somebody's life. So I'm just, right now, I'm trying as best I can to just be patient, keep moving forward, because it's easy to get frustrated and burnt out and just say, man, this isn't working. It's not having any effect. Let's just throw in the towel. But just being patient with the kids because they are kids. They're doing the same thing that I did back when I was their age. So uh, yeah, I think that's one of the things that I'm learning right now is patience.
Patience is it's funny how patience works too. Because you're learning patience in that area. Do you find yourself impatient in other areas?
Oh yeah, definitely. Like I'm impatient with playing guitar. I played guitar a lot and I was never any good at it. And then I took 10 years off and didn't play any guitar for 10 years. And then I went out and bought two new guitars and an amp and I picked it up and I sucked. And I was like, why can't I not play anything? And I was really impatient and I was just like, all right, I'm done with it. And I haven't played the guitar since. So I got really, really impatient with that. Things that I think I should be able to pick up and do, and not have to work really hard at it, I'm really impatient at.
Yeah. Because I was thinking about that when you said patience, is I feel like I have patience for others really well, but I don't know how much patience I have for myself. So, like when I think about that, because I was like, because in the training world, like one, I mean, even before I trained at Nike, like that'll teach you patience. But also thinking about like, I used to teach people music and train my buddies how to play, the guitar parts and stuff. And I just always had patience for that, like the learning aspect. Like it's like I always understood that it's going to take you time to get there, and I just do it because I'm passionate about it, and hopefully it lands. Hopefully you learn from it. And it's funny, I just always had patience there. But like when it comes to like thinking about, new relationships is a good example. Like I get impatient with new relationships. I'm like, I just want it now, and it's
Yeah,
just funny how we have those different dynamics. So it's like patience really, it's like a blanket term, but like, I feel like there's definitely levels and different things that we're patient at and not patient for sure.
Talk about impatience on a from a guitar standpoint. I bought a bass guitar and an amp. I thought I don't even need to pick this thing. I'll just grab an amp. Give me a week and I'll figure it out. Bought a bass guitar.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Gosh, probably when I was still working at Nike with you guys, and brought it home. Played it for 3 days, and I sold it.
nice.
Talk about impatience. 3 days.
Did you guys watch the Andy Milanakis show?
I've seen
I
clips.
saw clips of it.
Dang it. We were gonna have a moment. Dude, that was one of the funniest shows. I loved it, but not many people watched it. But there's a scene on there that just cracked me up is he buys this karaoke machine, and because he's gonna be this big rapper. So he buys this karaoke machine and he's just going out and he's like, I'm gonna be this rap god, whatever. Then all of a sudden he turns around, he's like, hello? I suck, and he just freaks and he just like loses it. I'm just like, oh, that's so sad. So that's
Yeah,
that's the image I got when you said you started playing. You're just like, nope,
I,
I'm done.
it took me 3 days, and I'm like, I don't need to waste any more time. I don't need an Arkansas basketball player to tell me I suck. I
you
know
could
I
have been
suck,
in All We Know, man.
dude. I'm trying to think. It was probably 2012 whenever I picked that bass guitar up for the first time. So I think of, if I would have stuck with it, what I'd be doing now. Probably not playing in a band, but I just think what, so 3 days. So it's funny
Yeah,
you say patience is something that you're working on now. That's exactly what I wrote down. That's the same thing that I think patience is. I don't know that you're ever going to fully master that. I don't think there's so many things that come at you and you think, I've got this figured out. I've got this on lock. Um, and like you said, being impatient in one thing and being patient in another, it makes me think the first thing when you said that was, how impatient am I when I get behind another car at a red light and it turns green and they don't go in 1 second, how impatient I am.
Yeah,
So those are the little reminders that we drive every day and we go through stoplights every day. Yet I'm still as impatient now as I was at 16 when I started driving, you know. So I don't think that's never anything I think you're going to fully unlock
yeah.
in
I would just
anything.
like to say I'm being extremely patient right now because my dog is sitting just right over here, tearing the fire out of his bed, and I'm doing everything I can to keep from yelling at him. But whatever.
Practicing
dude, that's
patience.
not where I thought that was. Yeah, that's not where I thought it was going. There was like, I'm being patient now because I'm listening to Dennis. I'm listening to you talk about patience right now.
Because I'm
I would
listening to
not be
this guy
surprised.
talk.
That's what I thought you were going to say. I thought you were going to crack a joke. Oh
No,
my gosh. Oh, dude, Dennis, you'd hate ride with me then, because I'm the most chill driver. So like, people could be going slow, and I'm just be like, whatever. Oh, you missed an exit. Cool, we'll get the next one. Like, like that's me to a T.
Yeah, I don't think I have like any kind of road rage or anything,
Yeah.
but we're in such a hurry to get somewhere to wait. You're going to wait for something throughout the day, and we're in a
Mhm.
hurry. So that's just a life lesson that we're always going to have to struggle through, I think. But maybe you've got it mastered.
No, I don't think so. But I think patience, I think the thing about patience is expectations. I think that's what it's at the root of it. So if we have expectations about something, it means we have what we believe to be the outcome, which would make us be impatient because things should be a different way. But what if we thought, what if it's not supposed to be a different way? What if this just is what it is? Or what if you had no outcome or no expectation? Then I feel like that would help with patience, in my opinion.
Oh yeah.
No expectations.
Yeah.
I think that's
Wise words.
yeah, that is very wise. I don't think that I don't think there's a way to really get away from that, setting no expectations.
I think it depends. So, because that's something, actually, that is something that helped me be patient within relationship.
Okay.
Because, like I said, that was a place where I had a lot of impatience. Because, like, like I'm dating, I kind of want things to move a little faster. Like, let's get let's because obviously, it'd be nice to have a family again, right? Everybody together and under a roof, right? But I started realizing that a lot of problems why I was having issues while I was struggling was due to that. Was due to like, well, what expectation am I saying? Like, I'm expecting this person to be at this, like, to move at this pace. I'm expecting to be here. And all it is causing me like anxiety. It's causing me to be impatient. It's causing these problems. So what if I just let go of the expectations of that? Like, what if I just enjoyed the moment? And that was actually very helpful. And I think that can be applied in multiple instances too. Cause that was just one thing that stuck out to me over the last few years was like, why am I struggling? And it always boiled down to when I journal and stuff to like, well, what is your expectation around it? It's very interesting.
It is. Insightful. You're very insightful.
Oh, I appreciate that. And then when you get off, you're like, man, Ricky's talking about expectations. That was stupid.
It was so lame.
That was so lame. Dude, I love it. Okay, so what are y'all doing for fun right now?
Man, well, there's not a lot of fun going on in the winter, especially here at the lake. But man, for fun, man, I've already purchased my first couple concert tickets, so looking forward to that.
Okay, tell us, what are they?
Well, first one that I purchased is Judah and the Lion. Judah and the Lion.
When is that?
What is that? I'm sure Craig.
No, well, what I said? When is that?
When is that? Gosh, May. I think April. April.
Nice.
It's one of my oldest daughter's favorite bands. So bought tickets for us. Going to take her out of school. So yeah. And
what's the other ones?
Oh man, I'm looking at there's a band called Chiodos. It's like a emo rock band, maybe from like when I was in college. I think that is like the most. And I mean, Craig hasn't mentioned Creed once yet. I don't think this entire time.
It's coming.
He's about to.
Coming.
I know. Yes. I knew. But
patience.
But all these bands that have been like doing tours like the last 2 years, they're all from when we were in college. Like they're 20-year when they put this album out, and so yeah. So I'm sure Craig's already purchased at least one Creed concert this year.
100% I have.
That's funny.
They're going to be like 15 miles from my house. I had no choice but to buy a ticket to it.
That's true.
Yeah.
And I got
there's something.
I was going to say, and I got no text asking if I wanted in on the tickets.
Well, a buddy of mine from here in Harrison wants to go, so I'm going with him. So
I got you,
Trevor. You know Trevor, Ricky,
the guitarist. Trevor, how is that guy?
He's doing good. He's got 2 kids and married, and life is good.
Dude, I miss Trevor. We used to have some good conversations.
Yeah,
you guys, we just had a good time. Yeah, because I played drums with you guys for a little bit. I remember that.
Yep.
That was a good time. But I also got some concert tickets. Already got some lined out. I'm seeing Leprous in April.
Leprous.
Awesome band if you never heard of them.
Never heard of them.
Okay. I feel like you guys might like them. You might respect them. Actually got one of their records here. But You should check them out. They're good. They're a progressive band. Singer's phenomenal. And it's kind of like the best way I like to describe them is I like to think of them as like a dynamic band. Like, whereas you'll have a lot of really soft, mellow, chill parts where even the singer's just singing real soft falsetto. And then the songs tend to build a lot, especially towards the end. But I'm seeing them, and I'm seeing them locally in Lawrence. So it's supposed to be a small venue. So fun thing is they rarely come to US. They're coming to US. They're going to be close to me. And I found out the other day that someone I work with, her like fiance or whatever, actually plays poker with those guys in Vegas. So I was like, well, are you guys going to the concert? Like, I think so. I was like, well, you should introduce me. So
No doubt.
we'll see how that goes.
Yeah.
But yeah, so there was leopard. No doubt. You remember that? Dennis, you going to finish?
No diggity.
That was one. We say no doubt all the time. You'd always follow up with no diggity. Okay. Let's see. I got Ice Nine Kills I'm seeing again in May. They're doing a 2-day concert here in Kansas City. And then a buddy invited me to go see Linkin Park in August.
I saw that they're going to be there.
Yeah. So
wow.
the St. Louis one. So I guess he already has tickets. So I'm like,
wow.
And he's like, you want to go? And I was like, yeah, why not?
That's awesome. I don't think you're as excited as you should be.
Me to see Linkin Park?
Yeah, you don't sound very excited.
Well, let's talk about it.
It's a little it's a little too soft for you.
So the Hybrid Theory was still one of my favorite albums
Absolutely.
of all time. Love Hybrid Theory. Meteora was okay, and then after that I just kind of lost interest, besides the songs that were on Transformers for some weird reason.
The Great Divide or something like that?
Yeah, New Divide.
New Divide, that's what it is, yeah.
What was the other one? There was another one too. What was that one? I don't remember. There was another one that was on the other one that sounded just like it, but just not as good as New Divide. But I don't know. I don't know because I'm not sure yet how I feel about the new singer yet. So,
oh man,
I think she's fine, but I'm just curious. Like the old songs of Hybrid Theory, like how are those going to hold up?
Yeah,
I want to know.
I don't know. I've heard her at some, I guess, launch that they were doing when they first announced her, and it sounded really good. So she puts a different spin on it.
Yeah.
She does. And I heard that they're going just like, they're not trying to get someone that sounds like Chester. I heard they're just trying something new, just seeing. So I'm just curious. So for me, it's like, it's going to be a cool concert. If I didn't get invited to it, I probably wouldn't have went, but I'm excited to go to it.
That's awesome.
Nice.
But not as excited as I should be, apparently.
Apparently.
So. True.
Okay. So that's what you're doing for fun. So concert tickets. What about you, Craig?
I play Xbox with my buddies up in St. Louis. I go hunting from time to time and concerts. And I've got 10 shows lined up already. I went to 15 last year and I would like to beat 15. So that's the goal.
And 4 of them last year were Creed.
No, 3 of them.
3 were
Creed. Yeah. No,
nice.
I saw Creed 3 times last year. I saw Third Eye Blind twice. Saw some really good shows last year. This year I've got like Papa Roach lined up, Creed, of course, some like a guitarist named Kenny Wayne Shepherd, if you're familiar with him.
Oh yeah.
Going to see him. 10 Years, if you're familiar with that band. Their opener is a guy named Keith Wallen, who plays rhythm guitar for Breaking Benjamin. And so I'm going to see him. I'm going to see Breaking Benjamin. I'm going to a Dude Perfect live event.
Oh, that's cool.
I'm looking forward to that. That'll be cool. So I'm going to see Theo Vaughn, if you guys are familiar with Theo Vaughn. So I've got a bunch in store already, and hopefully there's more to come.
Nice.
Yeah.
One thing that I've been. Oh yeah, no, you go.
Oh no, I was going to say I missed a big one. Post Malone is coming. So.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
So I've been keeping up the game nights going for fun. By the way,
nice.
Still doing game nights. So I have a group of us from people that live here in Kansas City, or some of them live here. But yeah, we were doing the monthly Heroescape, whatever, just doing different nights. So I figured you'd like that. You came over, Craig. You came over to what, 1 or 2 of them?
I probably played at 2 or 3 of them.
Nice. Dennis, did you ever go to those?
I went to one. I went to one. Think
And
you
he never came
were.
back.
Yep. I said this is enough for me.
Dude, I was talking to someone about that the other day, and I was just laughing because I was thinking about Evan Bauer, and I was thinking about how he would show up first every game night, so he could pick his army first, and he would be the first one out every game night. I was like, "What is going on here? You've played so much, you gotta have this figured out by now." Good times. Okay, so let's see. So this is gonna be interesting. So we're gonna have to figure out because I like to do this question as the thumbnail of the video, but I have two of y'all here, so we gotta figure out on a thumbnail title. But I want to hear your individual one first. Is if you were to have a story written about your life so far from beginning when you were born to now, what would that story be called?
That's an easy one for me personally.
Creed.
I've no, yeah, that would
Higher?
be, yeah, higher.
Take me higher.
No, for me, I've said this for a long time. Mine would probably be impatiently patient. Would be what it's called. Just because I'm 42 years old, I've never been married, and always like being impatient, like wanting to find my wife, but at the same time being patient and saying it'll happen in God's time, which maybe is a bad approach. Maybe I need to like be a little bit more active with it. But my title would definitely be impatiently patient.
Dang.
I like that. Yeah, like maybe I should talk to some girls first.
Yeah. I'm waiting for these girls to come ask me out. Maybe it doesn't work like that.
That's funny.
Okay. Impatiently patient. What about you, Dennis?
Oh man, faith, family, and finding strength. So really, a lot of what I talked about, leaning on family, especially over the last couple of years, and um, I just leaning into God even more, and building myself a really strong unit of friends from my community, from my church, that have really helped build into me, and through them become stronger every day. So faith, family, and finding strength.
Nice. Okay, now if you were to make a story about both of your lives, what would that story be called?
Both of our lives.
Like if you were sharing the story, you guys both have to come up with one book. You're two authors, co-authors writing a book.
I would say my own prison.
Dennis agrees with that?
That sounds good. Yeah,
I had to come up with something Creed related.
of course. I personally like 6 feet from the edge.
Well, it's actually called One Step Closer, but
That's true.
or no,
That's Lincoln Park.
yeah, it is.
That's funny. I'm like,
it's either one step from the edge or I can't remember what it is. But I know
you
what
call
song
yourself
you're
a Creed
talking
fan.
yeah.
Yeah, I should know.
Yeah, I go to all these Creed concerts. I don't remember any of their song names or their lyrics.
Man, it's not about the lyrics. It's about the way they make you feel.
Ooh, there you go.
Yeah, something like that. If you've never been to a Creed concert, you're missing out. Dennis can tell you.
I would definitely put it as my top one, top two. I don't know. It's up there. It was good.
Yeah.
Nice. I thought he was going to say, I'm going to put that somewhere in the middle.
Yeah, that's what I was expecting. I'd put that at like number 15.
No. I would rank it pretty high.
Okay. So what are we feeling? What are we feeling for this book title?
I got nothing. Maybe that's it. I got nothing.
We got nothing. It's we got nothing.
We got nothing. That's gonna be the name of the.
Man, people are going to want to tune into that.
Yeah, no skills.
That's pretty good too. I like that.
That's true. Yeah. I'm supposed to be a marketing guy. I should be able to come up with stuff like this, but
Well, you marketed
It's all
yourself pretty well.
oh well, thank
yeah,
you.
it's all you know.
All we know.
Boom.
All these references, and the viewers like, what does that mean? I don't get that.
The inside jokes are the best.
Yeah.
Oh man, what does Michael say on The Office? You guys are Office guys. Well, no, Ricky,
Mhm.
are you? Yeah. What does he say?
I
Inside
became one.
jokes.
Oh
Inside
yeah.
jokes. And he said, "I'd like to. I'd like to be part of one someday."
Oh yeah.
uh, uh, I actually funny. I was quoting that today because one of the people I work with thought it was Friday today. So if you remember that episode, and I was almost like, and then she's
Oh
like, "Oh, someone
yes,
finally told me." I was like, "Oh, dude, I would have leaned in that." Like, well, have fun tomorrow. Enjoy the weekend.
Nice.
See how they
that
show up.
is yeah. Oh my gosh.
Uh, that was a funny one. Okay, so what do we got? We got faith, family, and finding strength. We got impatiently patient. I just feel like if I put both of those on the thumbnail, that's going to be very wordy.
Um. Hmm.
The three F's: faith, family, and finding strength.
So we add three F's to it.
That's the answer. That's the ticket.
Let's make it longer. No, I know you were shortening it. I was just laughing because I was imagining you adding to it by making it shorter. Uh,
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 Man, you're the
I can.
podcast wizard. You should be
that's
able to
true.
Well, hey, I can edit out all this time, by the way. So we can
just
take as much time as we need.
dead air here.
Exactly. I mean, what do we got? Faith, family, and finding patience.
Sure, that works for me.
Sure, that's good. No,
The
I'm good with
Zoldy's like,
that.
no, I liked it the first way better.
No, I feel like his was really good, and then I like kind of spoiled it. Yeah, I'm good with that.
Are you sure you're good with that?
No doubt.
No
No
diggity.
diggity.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, here we go. Impatiently finding. I'm just kidding.
Impatiently finding faith.
Impatiently finding faith, family, and patience. Oh, good. Okay.
You all right?
Yeah, I've just been coughing. Clearly.
Me too.
Yeah, I think everybody is right now. I'm just around the office. Everybody's just coughing up stuff, and everybody's always like, "Are you okay?" And it's like, "Yeah, we're just all coughing, aren't we?"
Yeah.
Well, if you're coughing something up, they need to be going to the doctor. That sounds serious.
I mean, it's just mucus, right? No
It's true.
biggie.
As long as it's not shared.
Shared mucus.
I don't have a.
I
Is
don't get it. You're gonna have to fill me in on that.
is that?
What do you mean by shared mucus?
I imagine in the employee handbook, there's probably a line item that says "Do not share mucus."
I can't make sense of that right now. This is good. I'm like crying over here. This is great. Okay, so so this is the part of the podcast where you all get to share anything you want with the audience. So if it's sharing your social media, any business related stuff, this is kind of like your time. Your little 5-15 minutes of fame thing.
15 minutes. All right. So I'm going to tell you guys about insurance. Man, I don't know. I feel like it's kind of weird to plug what I do. I mean, obviously, I quote auto and home insurance all day. So if you need a,
Wait,
What are
why
you
is
doing?
Craig upside down? What is he doing?
I'm trying to plug my phone in. It's dying.
Oh. We're just like, what's
Yeah.
he doing all around over there,
All
all
right.
upside down? He's like
This
a
will
bat.
work.
All right.
Uh,
Are we starting that back over?
Yeah.
dude,
I
you keep
completely
going. You
killed
got
your
this, Dennis.
momentum.
Oh man, I mean, if somebody needs a home or an auto quote, give me a call. I don't know. I don't have a social
Okay.
media.
Well, where do they find you? Where do they find you, Dennis?
Oh man, shelterinsurance.com, and uh, you can type in Derek Thomason. That's the agent that I work under. Um, and that'll bring you to my office, and that's it.
Sweet.
Fun
How
stuff.
about you, Craig?
Um, I can talk about anything.
Yeah, you
All
can share
right.
your
Well,
tour dates for all we know.
yeah. Well, there's not a reunion tour coming anytime soon, but you never know. We're still really big over in the Philippines, so you never know. Uh,
Nice.
but yeah, kind of like me, uh, or kind of like Dennis. Like my work is something that I'm passionate about. I was passionate about Nike. All three of us, I'm sure, thought, man, we're going to be with Nike for the rest of our lives, and didn't work out that way. But I found something that I'm even more passionate about than Nike. Nighthawk Custom. It's a great company. We make high end 1911 pistols. It's a Christian company. It's owned by a man that is proud to lead with his faith, and I love working for him. And if anybody is ever in the Northwest Arkansas area, stop in Little Berryville, Arkansas. Come take a tour of Nighthawk. You'll get to see like how these $4,000 to $9,000 pistols are built. I'll take you through the entire operation. Uh, but I love where I work. I'm very passionate about it. So you can contact me at Craig at nighthawkcustom.com. I'd love to hear from you. If anybody out there is a fan of Nighthawk, I'd love to hear from you. So uh, that's what I got going on.
I like it. That reminded me of Step Brothers. Remember
Prestige
the
Worldwide.
nicknames? Yeah, remember the nicknames? You could call me Nighthawk.
Yeah,
What was the other name? What was the other name? I don't even remember.
I don't know.
You could...
It's been too long.
Yeah. That's why he said any fans of Nighthawk. I was like, okay, Step Brother fans, I got you.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Okay, so this is one of my favorite parts of the podcast. So what we do is we had the last guest create a question for you all. You don't know what it is. You got to come up with that on the spot, and then you get to create a question. So you come up together with a question that the next guest is going to get. So the question is, are you doing what you love? Explain.
For
Well,
me, yes.
obviously,
Yeah.
Craig just.
He just
Yeah.
it
I
was
just
like
went through it.
he
Yeah.
already
I mean,
answered it.
I absolutely love what I do. I work in the marketing department at Nighthawk, so uh, figuring out new ways to gain exposure for our brand and to build that brand up. I love doing it. I love the people that I work with. It's great. So I am very passionate about what I do. Prior to Nighthawk, I was a high school science teacher, and man, the kids were great. I really enjoyed the kids. Everything else about teaching was no bueno. So I'm happy where I'm at, and I'm really glad that things worked out the way that they did. I left Nike, which when I left Nike, Aaron, our manager, told me flat out, like, this is a mistake. And me leaving Nike to go work at a newspaper ultimately got me to where I'm at now. And I'm glad it all worked out this way. Uh, so yeah, I am doing what I love, and I'm very passionate about it.
So real quick, Craig. So to elaborate off what you just said, which is really fascinating to me, is if you didn't leave I may not be where I am now.
I was just, doing one of my buddies a solid.
Dude, this is the thing. So when you stepped, I remember you telling me, "Hey, you should go for that footwear position." And like in hindsight, it's like that's a super small thing. It's whatever it is, what it is. But it's
Yeah,
crazy because I remember being so resistant to it because I was like, "Dude, the stockroom's the best." But then I remember being like, "You know what, Brad, you want full time stockroom? I'm going to take one for the team, and I'm going to take Craig's position." And I always just think about that. Like if I wouldn't have done that and went out there and realized I liked actually teaching people or learning about products or in that space, like who knows? I mean, I always have this theory too of maybe everything would have worked out somehow, some way, maybe at different times. But it's interesting. It's like if you go back to that moment, that was one of those moments that kind of triggered me into training and education. And I
yeah,
mean, that's what I do for a living now. So it's fascinating that you say that because I'm like, actually, if you didn't step away, I might have been. Who knows? Like I said, maybe I'd still be in this position, but maybe it would have been delayed a couple years, or who knows? You just
yeah,
never know.
yeah. It's wild to think about that because at at the time when I left, Aaron was trying to set me up to be in a management position at a new store opening up in St. Louis, and that's why he thought it was a mistake that I was leaving. Like you're beginning to move up. This is what you wanted, and right when this door opens, you're leaving. But it worked out. And my writing for the newspaper is what got me hired at Nighthawk. So if I hadn't done that, I wouldn't be where I'm at now.
Yeah. Mm.
That is so funny that you say that because if you had not left Nike, I would not probably have went where I went with Nike because I remember you were on that path to go to Chesterfield to open that Nike store. And when you started pulling out of that, I went home and told my wife at the time, hey, they're looking for somebody from our store to potentially go. And I ended up applying and took an assistant manager position. And that's what led me where I ended up going to a couple different Nikes after that. So
I would just
you,
like to I would just like to throw out I was not going to be assistant manager. You did that on your own.
well, I definitely was not looking at going to another
Yeah.
store. Um, so me and Ricky have you to thank for our lives.
Hey, it all worked out the way that it was supposed to. And here we
Absolutely.
are
Mm.
back together again tonight.
Absolutely. Got the band back together.
Mhm.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, Dennis, what's your answer? Are you doing love?
Man, that's yeah. To like boil it down to say, do I love insurance? I don't know that that's something that I like wake up and I'm like passionate about. But I just love like the people that I interact with. I'm in a really small office. I mean, we are a high performing office. We show up really well throughout the company, consistently. But I've got the owner and I've got another agent in the office and myself. That's it. And we've got thousands of books of business that we cover from Colorado to Tennessee, Oklahoma, up to Iowa. We write in 11 states. And I get to talk to a lot of different people from different walks of life, older people that love coming in and doing their insurance interactions face to face. I've got people that I've never met in person, but I know them really well from Colorado that I've helped write quotes for and other states. And so I just love like getting on the phone and talking to these people and seeing what their needs are. And as I walk into the opportunity to do life insurance, hopefully here in the next couple of weeks, I'm going to have even more opportunities to help people plan for their future or their children's future. And so what that's going to walk me into different conversations and people's life stories is cool. I've always loved, managing people, whether it was at Nike or, I managed at Target for a couple years. And then I was general manager of a trades company for about 3.5 years. And in that 12, 13, 14 years of managing people, man, I I think I love interacting with people. That's probably one of the biggest things. So it probably doesn't matter what I'm doing, selling shoes or helping make sure that people are taking care of their plumbing or HVAC and helping them be better on and how they interact with the customer. To now me being the one that deals directly with the customer, um, that part I do. I feel like I'm doing what I'm supposed to do, and there's a reason why different events and moving and going to different stores and leaving Nike and going through a divorce and all that have helped get me to where I am now. So yeah, in a roundabout way, I think I do really enjoy and love what I do.
Love that. It's cool to all be in a place where we love what we do. I love that. Okay. So this is the time where you both get to come up with a question for the next guest. So what do you want that question to be?
Dennis, what did you come up with prior to coming in?
Um, what's one decision that changed your life completely? Which is kind of funny, like us talking about, you kind of making a decision which opened up opportunities, that we might not have thought of. But yeah, what's one decision that changed your life completely?
I like that one. Mine was going to be more Christ focused about, have, has Christ had an impact on your life? And if so, what is it? Yours is probably a better general question that can lead to more discussion. So we'll go with yours.
We can't blend.
Are you saved? Right? Like, okay. Love it.
That's funny.
Okay. So what was what are we going with?
We don't want to do
One
like a
decision
hybrid,
that changed your life.
we don't want to do like a hybrid blended question. No,
No.
I'm just saying that because of what
Oh, I know.
our thumbnail
Yeah.
question from earlier. But yeah,
Okay. So what was it? What was yours, Dennis?
what's one decision that changed your life completely?
Okay. Okay. So what's your all's answers to that?
Mine. It's funny that we talked about that, but mine was going to be moving. Um, I feel like if I hadn't moved off to and had the opportunity with Nike to move to St. Louis, I probably would have. We probably would have stayed in Branson. I would imagine for the foreseeable future. Um, I'm not one that ever felt confident. Although I was very blessed that in my time with Nike that I moved from associate to an entry level manager to mid level to an assistant manager and was able to move through those. But I remember every single time that I did going home to my wife and saying, "Hey, I've been presented with an opportunity. I'm just not ready. I'm not ready at all." And she always, was very supportive and said, "You said that the last time that you had an opportunity for a management position and you've succeeded. Let's see if you can do this next one. Let's try it." And so I'd only moved, I think, one position maybe when before I moved. And once I moved and saw the opportunity that how different stores ran and different managers that I got to rub shoulders with and learn how they managed, um, I think that did completely change my life. That I got a lot of really cool opportunities to move through different interactions with different people that I probably never would have if I would have stayed in Branson.
How about you, Craig?
Gosh, it's easy to give like a kind of church answer. Jesus is the correct answer here. That's the biggest decision of my life. But in all honesty, going back to what we were just talking about a couple of minutes ago, my decision to leave Nike was a big one because in my time working at Nike, like I was all in on Nike. Like I was going to work for Nike for the rest of my life. I wanted to make it to the corporate side and be out there in Beaverton, Oregon. And when I decided to leave that behind, that was a big deal for me. But ultimately, it got me to where I'm at now, and uh, it was kind of a leap of faith that not taking a better position back in St. Louis, where my family is from and where I wanted to move to, not taking that position to go work at a newspaper in Harrison, Arkansas. That was a gamble, and it got me to where I'm at now, so it paid off. But uh, I'd say that one in my adult life has probably had the greatest effect on me as far as getting me to where I am now.
Nice. So I'm not going to answer this question, by the way.
I
So
was
I
going
do.
to ask if you would answer it.
I know, I know. That's why I'm keeping quiet. So what I do is I wait till, which, by the way, this is going to be episode 30. Yes, this will be episode 30. And every 10 episodes, what I do is I take the 10 questions from the previous. So I'll take 21 through 30 and I answer all those questions that the guests made on a special episode. So you'll have to tune into that to get my answer, but I don't want to give any spoilers
Man,
ahead of time. So
that's
that's why.
lame. You get to think about it for like a long period of time and construct an answer, and here we're having to come up with something on the fly.
You know what? I actually don't. I'll be real with you. I'll be like the day of and I'll write it down real quick so I have them and I'm like, okay, hit record and I just start winging it. Well, and I just go through it like that.
All
So
right.
yeah, I'm not doing any practice. I'm winging it.
All right.
Okay, sweet. So hey, this has been awesome. I'm glad we all decided to hop on the podcast. It's been fun catching up and stuff.
No, thank you
Absolutely.
for inviting us.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
it's been
absolutely.
a lot of fun.
Cool. Well, thank y'all so much, and I'll see you around.
All right. See you guys.
Thanks, Ricky.